Bandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vidam Sya Om Agyana Jamaranda Shagyananshana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhishtam Supurakam Gurganaro Sesha Sambhushitam Chendya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwa Guruncha Divyat Bhagavad Prem Noi Bijapradam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Bharanam Balarka Chelanshidam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambunim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatam Baram Bandetam Shivaram Mareka Sharanam Yashishvara Shidharam Banchakopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gorata Vishay Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Madhya-lila chapter 6, the liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and I'll begin with verse number 77. Shuni Gopinatha Mukunda Duhe Duki Hoila Gopinatha Charya Kechu Kohite Lagila. Gopinatha Charya and Mukunda Datta became very unhappy when they heard this. Gopinatha Charya therefore addressed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as follows. Okay. Gopinatha Charya and Mukunda Datta are unhappy because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is talking that he can reinitiate Mahaprabhu into a superior sannyas sampradaya than the Bharati sampradaya. And there, then Gopinatha Charya and Mukunda Datta they can see, of course, that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has no idea who Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. Bhattacharya tumi har na jana mahima bhagavata lakanera yate sima. My dear Bhattacharya, you do not know the greatness of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are found in him to the highest degree. Tahate vikyati ho parama ishvara agyastani kechuna he vigyara gochara. Tahate vigyate ho paramaishvara agyastane kechunahi vigyara gochara. Gopinatha Charya continued, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is celebrated as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are ignorant in this connection find the conclusion of knowledgeable men very difficult to understand. Sishyagana kohe ishvara kahakon pramane acharya kohe vigyamata ishvara lakane. The disciples of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya retaliated. By what evidence do you conclude that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord? Gopinatha Acharya replied, the statements of authorized acharyas who understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are proof. Sishya kohe Ishvara Tattva Nadi Anumane Acharya kohe Anumane Nahi Ishvara Jnane. The disciples of the Bhattacharya said, we derive knowledge of the absolute truth by logical hypothesis. Gopinathacharya replied, one cannot attain real knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such a logical hypothesis and argument. Anuman pramana nahi Ishvara tattva jnane Krishna vina Ishvarere keho nahi jane. Gopinathacharya continued, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by His mercy, not by guesswork or hypothesis. Ishvarer kripalesha hoita jahare seta Ishvara tattva janibare bhare. Acharya continued, if one receives but a tiny bit of the Lord's favor by dint of devotional service, he can understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Tatapite deva parambuja dvaya prasara lesha nugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko pi chiram vichinvan. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate in order to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. Jajapi Jagat Guru Tumi Shastra Jnanavan Prativite Nahi Pandit Tomara Saman Ishwara Kripalesha Nahika Tomate Ateva Ishwara Tatvana Parajanite. Gopinathacharya then addressed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. You are a great scholar and a teacher of many disciples. Indeed, there is no other scholar like you on earth. Nonetheless, because you are bereft of even a pinch of the Lord's mercy, you could not understand Him, even though He is present in your home. Tomaranahika dosh shastra e kahe pandita panditya ishvara tatve jnana kabu nahe. It is not your fault. It's the verdict of the scriptures. You cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by scholarship. Sarvabhauma kohe acharya kaha savadane tomate ishvara kripa iti ki pramane. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, my dear Gopinathacharya, please speak with great care. What is the proof that you have received the mercy of the Lord? Acharya kohe bastu vishaye hoy bastu gyan bastu tattva gyato hoy kripate praman. Gopinathacharya replied, knowledge of the summum bonum, the absolute truth, is evidence of the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Ihara sharire sab ishvara lakan mahapremavesha tumi Payacha Darshan. Gopinathacharya continued, you have seen the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his absorption in an ecstatic mood. Tabuta Ishvara Gyan Nahoy Tomar Ishvarera Maya E Bole Vyavahar. Despite directly perceiving the symptoms of the Supreme Lord in the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you cannot understand Him. This is commonly called Maya. This is commonly called illusion. Dekile na deketa. Tare Bahirmukha Jan Shunihasi Sarvabhauma Bolela Bhajan. A person influenced by the external energy is called Bahirmukha Jan, a mundane person, because despite his perception, he cannot understand the real substance. Hearing Gopinathacharya say this, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya smiled and began to speak as follows. Ishtagoshti Vichar Kori na koriya rosh, shastra drishti kohe kichu na loya dosh. The Bhattacharya said, we are just having a discussion among friends and considering the points described in the scriptures. Do not become angry. I am simply speaking on the strength of the Shastras. Please don't take any offense. Mahabhagavata hoy Chaitanya Gosai Ekali Kale Vishnur Avataranai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is certainly a great uncommon devotee, but we cannot accept him as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu because according to Shastra, there is no incarnation in this age of Kali. Ateva Tri Yuga Kore Kohe Vishnu Nam Kali Yuge Avatara Nahi Shastra Gyan. Another name for Lord Vishnu is Tri Yuga because there is no incarnation of Lord Vishnu in Kali Yuga. Indeed, this is the verdict of the revealed scriptures. Shuniyacharya kohe duke hoyamane shastragya korenya tumi kora abhimane. Upon hearing this, Gopinathacharya became very unhappy. He said to the Bhattacharya, you consider yourself the knower of all Vedic scriptures. Bhagavata Bharata Dui Shastrera Pradhan Se Dui Granta Bhake Nahi Avadan. Srimad Bhagavatam and the Mahabharata are the two most important Vedic scriptures, but you have paid no attention to their statements. Se Dui Kohe Kalite Sakat Avatar Tumekaha Kalite Nahi Vishnura Prajar. In Srimad Bhagavatam and the Mahabharata, it is stated that the Lord appears directly, but you say that in this age there is no manifestation or incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Kali Yuge Lilavatar Nakore Bhagavan Ateva Tri Juga Kore Kohe Taranam. In this age of Kali, there is no Lila avatar of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is known as Tri Yuga. That is one of his holy names. Pratiyuge Koran Krishna Juga Avatar Tarkanishta Hridoya Tomara Nahika Abichar. Gopinathacharya continued, there is certainly an incarnation in every age, and such an incarnation is called the Yuga Avatar. But your heart has become so hardened by logic and argument that you cannot consider all these facts. Asan Varnas Trayo Yasya Grinato Nu Yugam Tanu Shuklo Raktas Tatapita Uranim Krishna Tam Gata. In the past, your son has had bodies of 3 different colors according to the age. These colors were white, red, and yellow. In this age, Dwapara Yuga is accepted a blackish body. So the yellow color, Pita Avatar, the yellow avatar, the yellow color for the Yuga Avatar of Kali Yuga is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's the point that Gopinathacharya is making. You're saying the Lord is known as Tri Yuga because there's no incarnation for Kali Yuga, but that only refers to Leela avatars. But the Yuga avatar, there is a Yuga avatar in every age, and Mahaprabhu is that Yuga avatar who appears in the Pita color, which is mentioned by Garga Muni during the name giving of Krishna. Iti Dwarpara Urvisha Stuvanti Jagadishwaram Nanatantra Vidhanena Kalavapi Tatashinu. In the age of Kali as well as in Dwarpara Yuga, the people offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by various mantras and observe the regulative principles of the supplementary Vedic literatures. Now please hear of this from me. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshanam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayar Yajandi E Sumeda Saha. In this age of Kali, those who are intelligent perform the congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears in this age always describing the glories of Krishna. That incarnation is yellowish in hue and is always associated with his plenary expansions such as Sri Nityananda Prabhu and personal expansions such as Gadadhar, as well as devotees and associates such as Swarup Damodar. Suvarna Varno Hemango Varangas Chandanan Gati Sannyasa Krits Chamashat Shato Nishta Shanti Parayanaha. The Lord, in the incarnation of Gaurasundar, has a golden complexion. Indeed, his entire body, which is very nicely constituted, is like molten gold. Sandalwood pulp is smeared all over his body. He will take the fourth order of spiritual life, sannyas, and will be very much self-controlled. He will be distinguished from Mayavadi sannyasis in that he will be fixed in devotional service and will spread the Sankirtan movement. There's a verse quoted from the Mahabharata, Vishnu Sahasranam Stotra. Tomarage eta katar nahi prayojan asara bhumite jena abhijara ropan. Gopinathacharya then said, there is no need to quote so much evidence from the Shastras, for you are a very dry speculator. There is no need to sow seeds in barren land. Tomara upare tara kripa jabe habe e subsidanta tabe tumia kohibe. When the Lord will be pleased with you, you will also understand these conclusions and will quote from the Shastras. Tomara jay sishya kohe kutarka nanabad iharaki dosha mayara prasad. The false arguments and philosophical word jugglery of your disciples are not faults of theirs. They have simply received the benediction of Mayavad philosophy. Yatchaptayo varatam vadinam vai vivada samvada bhuvo bhavanti kurvanti chaisham muhur atman mula moham tasmai namo nanda gunaya bhumne yadshaktayo vadatam vadinam vai vishada samvada bhuvo bhavanti kurvanti chaivam kurvanti chaisam muhuratma moham tasmai namo nanda gunaya bhumne. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of unlimited qualities and whose different potencies bring about agreement and disagreement between disputants. Thus the illusory energy again and again covers the self-realization of both disputants. So in any kind of understanding about the existence of this, the soul or the Supreme Lord, we can say that they show themselves. You don't have to search for them. Like this Atma in the body, you can see the Atma presence in the body by consciousness. So Here's this verse. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is full of unlimited qualities and whose different potencies bring about agreement and disagreement between disputants. Thus the illusory energy, again and again, covers the self-realization of both disputants. But the Lord reveals himself, and that's what Gopinathacharya is saying to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, well, what is the evidence that one has received the mercy of the Lord? And then Gopinathacharya says that I can recognize him. He was in your house in divine, showing his divine ecstasy, but you could not recognize him. This is the Lord reveals himself to his devotees. This is the evidence that one has received the mercy of the Lord, that he can see the Lord, he can perceive the Lord. One who hasn't cannot recognize the Lord. Yuktam cha santi sarvatra basante brahmana yata mayam mariyam udgriya vadatam kim nudurgatam. In almost all cases, whatever learned Brahmins speak becomes accepted. Nothing is impossible for one who takes shelter of my illusory energy and speaks under her influence. Tabe Bhattacharya kohe jaha gosairastane amaraname gana sahita kora nimantrane. After hearing this from Gopinathacharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, first go to the place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is staying and invite him here with his associates. Ask him on my account. Prasadani tare koraha age bikka paschat asi amare koraya sikka. Take Jagannath Prasadam and first give it to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. After that, come back here and teach me well. Acharya Bhagini Pati Shalaka Bhattacharya Nindastuti Hashe Shikha Korana Acharya. Gopinathacharya was the brother-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Therefore, the relationship was very sweet and intimate. Under the circumstances, Gopinathacharya taught him by sometimes blaspheming him, sometimes praising him, and sometimes laughing at him. This had been going on for some time. Acharya Siddhante Mukundera Hoila Santosh Bhattacharya Bhakyamane Hoila Dukarosh. Srila Mukunda Datta felt very satisfied to hear the conclusive statements of Gopinathacharya, but he became very unhappy and angry to hear the statements put forward by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Gosairastani Acharya Koila Agaman Bhattacharya Namitare Koila Nimantran. According to the instructions of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Gopinathacharya went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and invited him on the Bhattacharya's behalf. Mukunda Sahita Kohe Bhattacharya Kata Bhattacharya Ninda Kore Mane Payavyata. The Bhattacharya statements were discussed before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopinathacharya and Mukunda Datta disapproved of the Bhattacharya statements because they caused mental pain. Shuni Mahaprabhu kohe aiche mat kaha, amaprate Bhattacharya hoy anugraha. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Do not speak like that. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has shown great affection and mercy toward me. Amara Sanyas Dharma Chahena Rakite Vatsaye Karuna Koren Kidosha Ihate." Out of paternal affection for me, he wants to protect me and see that I follow the regular principles of a sannyasi. What fault is there in this? Aradin Mahaprabhu Bhattacharya Sane Anande Korila Jagannath Darshane. The next morning, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya together visited the temple of Lord Jagannath. Both of them were in a very pleasant mood. Bhattacharya Sangetara Mandire Aila Prabhuriyasana Diya Apane Basila. When they entered the temple, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya offered Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a seat, while he himself sat down on the floor out of due respect for sannyasi. Vedanta Padai Tabe Aramba Korila Sneho Bhakti Kori Kichu Prabhurera Kohila. He then began to instruct Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on Vedanta philosophy, and out of affection and devotion, he spoke to the Lord as follows. Vedanta Shravane Sanyasera Dharma Nirantara Koratumi Vedanta Shravana. The Bhattacharya said, hearing Vedanta philosophy is a sannyasi's main business. Therefore, without hesitation, you should study Vedanta philosophy, hearing it without cessation from a superior person. Prabhu kohe more tume kora anugraha se kartavya tumi je morakaha. Lord Chaitanya replied, "You are very merciful to me, and therefore I think it is my duty to obey your order." Shatadin paryanta aiche korana shravane balomanda nahi kohe basi matrat shune. Thus, for 7 days continually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu listened to the Vedanta philosophy expounded by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. However, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not say anything and did not indicate whether it was right or wrong. He simply sat there and listened to the Bhattacharya, but he doesn't say anything. Ashtama divase tare puche Sarvabhauma Shatadin Koratumi Vedanta Shravana. On the 8th day, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "You have been listening to Vedanta philosophy from me continually for 7 days. Balomanda nahi koho rahamona dori buja kina buja iha bujitena pari." You have simply been listening, fixed in your silence. Since you do not say whether you think it is right or wrong, I cannot know whether you are actually understanding Vedanta philosophy or not. Prabhu ke kohe murkami nahi adyayan tomara agyate matra koraye shravan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "I am a fool, and consequently I do not study the Vedanta Sutra. I am just trying to hear it from you because you have ordered me." Sanyasera dharma lagi shravana matra kori tumije arta kora bujite na pari. Only for the sake of executing the duties of a sannyasi of the renounced order only for the sake of executing the duties of the renounced order of sannyas do I listen. Unfortunately, I cannot in the least understand the meaning you are presenting. Bhattacharya ko hina buje hina jnana jar buje bara lage seho puche punarbar. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya replied, "I accept that you do not understand, yet even one who does not understand inquires about the subject matter." So he says, "You're not asking any questions. I can't tell by your silence whether you are understanding the Vedanta philosophy." And then Mahaprabhu says, yes, I'm listening to you only for the sake of executing the duties of a sannyasi, but I can't understand anything that you're presenting. Then Sarvabhauma says, Sarvabhauma replied, I accept that you do not understand, yet even one who does not understand inquires about the subject matter. Tumi shuni shuni rahamona matradori ridaye ki ache tomar bhujete napari. You are hearing again and again, yet you keep silent. I cannot understand what is actually within your mind. Prabhu kohe sutra arta bujiye nirmal tomara vyakya shuni man hoita vikal. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then revealed his mind, saying, I can understand the meaning of each sutra very clearly, but your explanations have simply agitated my mind. I can understand all the sutras of the Vedanta Sutras. I can understand them very clearly, but your explanations, they've just disturbed me. They've just disturbed my mind. Sutrarartha Bhashya Kohe Prakashya Tumi Bhashyakaha Sutra Artha Acharya. The meaning of the aphorisms in the Vedanta Sutra contain clear purports in themselves, but other purports you presented simply cover the meaning of the sutras like a cloud. The sutras are very clear in their meaning. They're directly evident. They show themselves, but your explanations cover all the sutras. I can't understand what you're presenting. The meaning of the aphorisms of the Vedanta Sutra contain clear purports in themselves, but other purports you presented simply cover the meaning of the sutras like a cloud. Sutra Mukhya Artha Ki Sutra Mukhya Artana Koraha Vyakyan Kapanarte Tumi Taha Kora Acharan. You do not explain the direct meaning of the Brahma Sutra, or the Brahma Sutras, or the Vedanta Sutras. Indeed, it appears that your business is to cover the real meaning. Upanishad Shabdi Jai Mukhya Artha Hoy Say Artha Mukhya Vyasa Sutre Sabakoi. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, the Vedanta Sutra is the summary of the Upanishads. Therefore, whatever direct meaning is there in the Upanishads is also recorded in the Vedanta Sutra, or Vyasa Sutra. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained the word Upanishad in his Anubhashya. Okay. Mukhyartha Chadiya Kora Gunartha Kalpana Abhida Vritti Chari Kora Shabdara Lakana. For each sutra, the direct meaning must be accepted without interpretation. However, you simply abandon the direct meaning and proceed with your imaginative interpretation. Pramanera madhye shruti pramana pradhan shruti jay mugyartha kohe say brahman. Although there is other evidence, the evidence given in the Vedic version must be taken as foremost. Vedic versions understood directly are first-class evidence. Jivara ashte vishta due shangag komai shruti vakye se due mahapavitra hoy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, conch shells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, conch shells and cow dung are nothing but the bones and stool of some living entities. But according to the Vedic version, they are both considered very pure. According to the Vedic principles, bones and dung are generally considered very impure. If one touches a bone or stool, he must take a bath immediately. That is the Vedic injunction. Yet the Vedas also enjoin that a conch shell, although the bone of an animal, and cow dung, although the stool of an animal, are very much sanctified. Even though such statements appear contradictory on the basis of the Vedic version, we still accept the fact that conch shells and cow dung are pure and sanctified. So the stool of an animal or the bones of an animal are impure, and you could say conch shell is like the bones of an animal, cow dung is like the stool of the cow, but both of them, even though they're bones and stool, they're still considered completely pure. So one has to accept the authority of what the Vedas say, not just, otherwise one would not know about the purity of cow dung, for instance. I mean, they'll use cow dung to clean, whereas normal stool would be, you'd have to bathe after touching it. So how do we understand these contradictions? Because it's mentioned in the Vedas. Therefore, Mahaprabhu has said, although there is other evidence given in the Vedic version must be taken as foremost. Vedic versions understood directly are first-class evidence. So if the evidence is there in the Vedas, we accept that. Svata Pramana Veda Satya Sekoi Lakana Korile Svata Pramana Hani Hoi. The Vedic statements are self-evident. Whatever is stated there must be accepted. If we interpret according to our own imagination, the authority of the Vedas is immediately lost. The Vedic statements are self-evident. Whatever is stated there must be accepted. If we interpret according to our own imagination, the authority of the Vedas is immediately lost. Vyasa Sutra. So Mahaprabhu contradicts Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and his disciples, saying that we learn by hypothesis and by interpretation, and Gopinathacharya says, no, the statements of the Vedas, they're the conclusion. They are accepted, even though it says that the bone of an animal or the stool of an animal should not be touched. Still we accept conch shells and cow dung as being pure because it's mentioned in the Vedas. The Vedic statements are self-evident. Whatever is stated there must be accepted. If we interpret according to our own imagination, the authority of the Vedas is immediately lost. Vyasa Sutra Arta Jaji Suryara Kim Kirana Svakalpita Bhashya Mege Kore Achadan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, the Brahma Sutra, composed by Srila Vyasadeva, is as radiant as the sun. One who tries to interpret its meaning simply covers the sunshine with a cloud. Veda Purane Kohe Brahma Nirupan Se Brahma Brihad Vastu Ishvara Lakan. Veda Purane Kohe Brahma Nirupan Se Brahma Brihad Vastu Ishvara Lakan. All the Vedas and literature that strictly follow the Vedic principles explain the Supreme Brahman is this absolute truth, the greatest of all, and a feature of the Supreme Lord. All the Vedas and literatures that strictly follow the Vedic principles explain that the Supreme Brahman is the absolute truth, the greatest of all, and a feature of the Supreme Lord. Sarvaishvarya Paripurna Swayam Bhagavan Taranyira Karakori Karahavyakyan. Actually, the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But actually, the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, full with all opulences. You are trying to explain him as impersonal and formless. Nirvishesh tare kohe jay shrutigan prakrita nishedi kore aprakrita stapan. Wherever there is an impersonal description in the Vedas mean to establish that everything belonging to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental and free of mundane characteristics. So, whenever there is an impersonal description, that is meant to show that the Lord has no mundane or material qualities. So, describing him as, if you say, for instance, he does not walk, it just means he doesn't have mundane feet. He doesn't walk like that. His feet are not mundane. Everything that's impersonal, wherever there is an impersonal description in the Vedas mean to establish that everything belonging to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental and free of mundane characteristics. Well, someone may say, well, aren't you doing the same thing? Aren't you giving some interpretation? I say, no. We're saying that what is being said is that impersonal descriptions are meant to negate the Lord having mundane features. But then there is further comment about the Lord's divine features. It's not just that the statements are only impersonal and there's no mention of personal qualities that are transcendental or divine. Vedanti tat tat vavido, Vedanti tat tat vavido, Vedanti vid veda kridevacha. How's it go? Vedanti tat tat vavidas, tatvam yam jganamadvayam brahmati paramatmati bhagavaniti shabhyate. Vedanti tat tat vavidas, tatvam yam jganamadvayam brahmati paramatmati bhagavaniti shabhyate. Sri Chaitanya Yaya Shruti Jhalpati Nirvishesham Sashabdi Sasabhirate Sa Vishesham Eva Vicharyoge Satihandatasam Prayob Buliya Sa Vishesha Eva Yaya Shrutir Jhalpati Nirvishesham Sashabdidate sa visheshameva vicharyoge satihandatasam prayobaliya sa visheshameva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, whatever Vedic mantras describe the Absolute Truth impersonally only prove that in the end that the Absolute Truth is a person. A Supreme Lord is understood in two features, impersonal and personal. If one considers the Supreme Personality of Godhead in both features, he can actually understand the Absolute Truth. He knows that the personal understanding is stronger because we see that everything is full of variety. No one can see anything that is not full of variety. And the impersonal conclusion negates variety, says everything is one. They do not recognize variety. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, whatever Vedic mantras describe the Absolute Truth impersonally only prove in the end that the Absolute Truth is a person. The Supreme Lord is understood in two features, impersonal and personal. If one considers the Supreme Personality of Godhead in both features, he can actually understand the absolute truth. He knows that the personal understanding is stronger because we see that everything is full of variety. No one can see anything that is not full of variety. Brahma hoite janme vishva brahmete jivai se brahme punarape hoye jai loy. Everything in the cosmic manifestation emanates from the absolute truth, remains in the absolute truth, and after annihilation again enters the absolute truth. Tomorrow we'll continue. Right now I'm going to stop at this point. The discussion of Mahaprabhu with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When Mahaprabhu for 7 days didn't say anything, and the 8th day Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, you don't ask any questions. I can't understand. I can't perceive whether you understand what I'm saying or not. And Mahaprabhu then says, well, you're right, I don't understand what you're saying. Well, if you don't understand the Vedanta Sutra, why don't you ask? Mahaprabhu says, but I do understand the Vedanta Sutra. What I don't understand are your explanations. It seems like you're trying to cover the truth with it's like trying to cover the sun with a cloud. It's your statements that I don't understand. What is there in the Vedanta Sutra, that is self-evident. But your explanations cloud what is actual understanding of the Vedanta Sutra. So we'll continue with this discussion tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow. Now we'll sing Hari Harai. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Maravaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shimadhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Garadhara Shiva Sari Gora Bhaktivedanta Seva Gopala Bhata Dasa Raguna Ejai Gosai Gori Chanana Bhagan Jaite Vijnana Shabishta Puran Jai Gosai Jar Muitarana Astamar Pada Venu Mora Panjava Hare Chanana Sevi Bhakta Sanema Janame janame more amila. Jai Gosai Jabe Bhaje Koilama. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Guru Vaishnava Bhare Manjai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Padma Goriyan. Harinam Sankirtana Gohe Naratamudam. Guru Vaishnava Padma Goriyan. Harinam Sankirtana Gohe Naratamuna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Saparikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Tilak Neri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sadashi Shrimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Sunanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Bharga ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarinya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad ki jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Navadip Dham ki jai, Shri Mayapur ki jai, Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Koladip ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai, Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Ko Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai, Shri Purushottam Dham ki jai, Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Jo ki jai, Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Shri Nrsingadev ki jai, Bhakta Prabhata Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Shri Akadasi Upavas ki jai, all the assembled devotees ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.